The Philippines joined 4 other countries on Saturday in the largest joint maritime patrol to date, as China conducted its own naval and air exercises near Scarborough Shoal on the same day. The Armed Forces of the Philippines and the United States Navy, together with the Royal Australian Navy, Royal Australian Air Force, Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force and Royal New Zealand Navy conducted a maritime cooperative activity within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone in the West Philippine Sea on September 28, 2024. The Maritime Cooperative Activity demonstrate the strength of relationships between partners and allies, and enhance cooperation, interoperability, and combined capabilities in the maritime domain, contributing to peace, stability, and upholding the freedom of navigation and overflight in the Indo-Pacific region. This iteration included training on routine multilateral surface operations, deck landings, hoisting, and search and rescue. This underscores the 5 nations' shared commitments to upholding the right to freedom of navigation and overflight, other lawful uses of the sea and international airspace, as well as respect for maritime rights under international law, as reflected in the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. Participating assets included the Royal Australian Navy, Leander-class light cruiser, HMAS Sydney, D-48. The Royal Australian Air Force P-8A Poseidon Maritime Patrol Aircraft. Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force, JS Sazanami, DD-113. The Royal New Zealand Navy HMNZS Aotearoa, A-11. Armed Forces of the Philippines, Guided Missile Frigates, BRP Antonio Luna, FF-151, and AFP corvettes BRP Emilio Jacinto, PS-35. And U.S. Navy Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer USS Howard, DDG-83. The U.S. Navy regularly operates alongside their Indo-Pacific allies as a demonstration of their shared commitment to the rules-based international order. Multilateral MCAs provide valuable opportunities to train, exercise, and develop tactical interoperability. U.S. 7th Fleet is the U.S. Navy's largest forward-deployed numbered fleet, and routinely interacts and operates with allies and partners in preserving a free and open Indo-Pacific region. Meanwhile, Chinese naval and air forces conducted separate patrols around Scarborough Shoal on Saturday after a slew of tense encounters with the Philippines in the disputed waterway in recent months. Beijing said the training activities around the shoal included reconnaissance, early warning, and air-sea patrols. The Southern Theater Command said in a statement that certain countries outside the region are stirring up trouble in the South China Sea, creating instability in the region. China has indisputable sovereignty over Huangyan Island and its surrounding waters. The theater's troops remain on high alert, resolutely defending national sovereign security and maritime rights, and are committed to maintaining peace and stability in the South China Sea. Before the Maritime Cooperative Activity in the West Philippine Sea, the Japan Maritime Self-Defense Force made its first-ever transit through the Taiwan Strait, going to the West Philippine Sea in response to the intrusion by a Chinese reconnaissance aircraft into Japan's sovereign airspace last month. The Sazanami entered the strait from the East China Sea on Wednesday morning, spending more than 10 hours sailing south to complete the passage, public broadcaster NHK and the Yomiuri Shimbun newspaper reported on Thursday. The passage was conducted with naval ships from Australia and New Zealand ahead of planned drills in the disputed West Philippine Sea, joining the navies from the Philippines and United States. The Chinese military was on high alert on Thursday, and China said it had lodged complaint with Japan. China is highly vigilant about the political intentions of Japan's actions and has lodged stern representations with Japan, said Lin Jian, a spokesman for China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Japan's top government spokesman Yoshimasa Hayashi declined to comment on the reports at a regular briefing because they concerned military operations. There was no immediate confirmation from the Ministry of Defense. New Zealand's Navy confirmed its ship, the HMNZS Aotearoa, had sailed through the strait with HMAS Sydney from the Australian Navy. A spokesman told the AFP news agency its first transit in 7 years was to assert the right of freedom of navigation. The three ships' transit comes a week after the Chinese aircraft carrier Liaoning sailed for the first time between two Japanese islands near Taiwan, a self-ruled democracy that Beijing claims as its own. Tokyo said the ships entered its contiguous zone, an area up to 24 nautical miles, about 44 kilometers from the Japanese coast, and called the incident totally unacceptable. China said it had complied with international law. The Yomiuri Shimbun cited multiple unnamed government sources as saying Prime Minister Fumio Kishida had ordered the Taiwan Strait transit over concern that doing nothing in the wake of the Chinese activities could encourage Beijing to take more assertive actions. The United States and its allies send ships through the 180-kilometer strait to reinforce its status as an international waterway. Beijing claims it has jurisdiction over the waters and accused Germany of heightening security risks after Berlin sent two of its military vessels through the strait last month. For the first time in over 20 years, the F-125 class frigate, Baden-Württemberg, and the Berlin-class replenishment oiler, Frankfurt am Main, transiting from the Taiwan Strait to the West Philippine Sea, giving strong signal to Beijing that Berlin is watching on China's aggressive action in the region. This visit is not only a testament to the enhanced defense cooperation between Germany and its allies in Asia, but also underscores how politically significant the Indo-Pacific region has become for Germany. The Indo-Pacific diplomacy is the German Navy's most important endeavor of defense diplomacy in 2024. It serves it in particular through close and confidence-building cooperation with strategic partners in the Indo-Pacific region, like the Philippines. While emphasizing Germany's global commitment for an international rules-based order, this pledge was outlined in Germany's Indo-Pacific strategy, which stresses the importance of maintaining free and open sea lanes in the region. This premise encompasses the Indo-Pacific and the South China Sea, and particularly, the West Philippine Sea, vital to Germany's security strategies. The presence of their Navy ships in the Indo-Pacific underlines this stance that Germany is ready to stand up for UNCLOS, for international law and to uphold the right to free navigation. It underlines Germany's commitment to a stronger security engagement in the Indo-Pacific. In addition, the German Navy aims to improve its operational readiness by training crews and junior officers through challenging joint exercises with other nations. The two German Navy ships will participate in multinational exercise Noble Raven 24-3. The ships were joined by the navies of Australia, France, Italy, Japan and the United States, amidst tension in the West Philippine Sea as China continues its aggressive actions toward Filipino vessels within Philippines' exclusive economic zone. Earlier, the Italian Navy Cavour Carrier Strike Group carried out a 4-day drill in the Philippine Sea with a U.S. destroyer as it made its way to Japan. The Cavour CSG, carrier ITS Cavour CVH-550, and frigate ITS Alpino, F-594, and U.S. Navy destroyer USS Dewey, DDG-105, part of the Japan-based Destroyer Squadron 15, conducted bilateral operations in the Philippine Sea. The activity with Dewey was an outstanding training opportunity and another great demonstration of cooperation between Italian and U.S. ships at sea, Shapina said, adding that conducting such engagements is one of the strategic objectives of the Italian Navy's operational campaign, along with ensuring security at sea and promoting economic prosperity through the Indo-Pacific region. The two navies conducted fixed-wing air defense training and combined anti-submarine warfare exercises. In addition to cross-functional training across multiple domains, the U.S. and Italian ships also conducted formation exercises and communication drills, according to the news release. In addition to cross-functional training across multiple domains, the U.S. and Italian Navy vessels also conducted formation exercises and communication drills, events tailored to build understanding and trust when conducting high-end maneuvers. The U.S. Navy regularly operates alongside their allies in the Indo-Pacific region as a demonstration of its shared commitment to the rules-based international order. Bilateral operations such as this one provides valuable opportunities to train, exercise and develop tactical interoperability across allied navies in the Indo-Pacific. The activity with USS Dewey is an outstanding training opportunity for their crews. Another great demonstration of fruitful interactions and cooperation between Italian and US ships at sea, said Shapina. I should say, a normal interoperability rehearsal which keeps up our standards and ability to work together. Conducting this type of activity is one of the strategic objectives of our operational campaign, ensuring security at sea and promoting economic prosperity through the Indo-Pacific region. Dewey is forward deployed and assigned to Destroyer Squadron 15, the Navy's largest desert and the U.S. 7th Fleet's principal surface force. U.S. 7th Fleet is the U.S. Navy's largest forward deployed numbered fleet, and routinely interacts and operates with allies and partners in preserving a free and open Indo-Pacific region. The visits of the Navy ships from Western allies, profoundly from NATO member nations, is an indication that the global community is concerned in the growing tension in the West Philippine Sea, which could bring the United States to a direct confrontation to China, as the U.S. is legally committed to protect the Philippines based on the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty. On September 24, 2024, U.S. Navy sailors conduct flight operations on the flight deck aboard the Nimitz-class aircraft carrier USS Theodore Roosevelt, CVN-71. Theodore Roosevelt, flagship of Carrier Strike Group 9, is underway conducting routine operations in the U.S. 7th Fleet area of operations. U.S. 7th Fleet is the United States Navy's largest forward-deployed numbered fleet, and routinely interacts and operates with allies and partners in preserving a free and open Indo-Pacific region. While on Wednesday, September 25, the Chinese military test fired an intercontinental ballistic missile into the Pacific on marking its first known launch of an ICBM in decades, after Biden touts U.S. relationship with Japan, South Korea, stirring security concerns in the region already tense over Beijing's territorial claims and rivalry with the U.S. The ICBM carried a dummy warhead and fell into a designated area of the sea, the Defense Ministry said in a statement posted to social media. The launch by the People's Liberation Army's rocket force was part of routine annual training, complied with international law, and was not directed against any country or target, according to the statement.
此次导弹发射是年度军事训练例行性安排，符合国际法和国际惯例，不针对任何特定国家和目标。
It is unclear how often China conducts tests over such a distance. In 1980, China launched an ICBM into the South Pacific. A map published in Chinese newspapers at the time showed the target area as roughly a circle in the center of a ring formed by the Solomon Islands, Nauru, the Gilbert Islands, Tuvalu, Western Samoa, Fiji, and the New Hebrides. The U.S. and non-governmental organizations have said China has been building up its missile silos, but it's unclear how many missiles and nuclear warheads it has added to its arsenal. The fact that China launched a test that splashed down in international waters was unusual, but mirrors testing that the United States does for its own ballistic missile fleet. The test fire also comes as the UN General Assembly meets in New York, where U.S. President Joe Biden spoke on Tuesday of his efforts to build a strong trilateral relationship with Japan and South Korea. Those relationships have been part of Biden's strategy to counter China's influence in the region. Meanwhile, tensions remain high over Taiwan and with the Philippines, where the U.S. Army has deployed its new mid-range missile system, known as Typhoon, to northern Luzon. On Wednesday, 2 Filipino officials said the U.S. and the Philippines have agreed to keep the system there indefinitely, to deter China. As part of the United States' deterrence strategy against China, aside from boosting its navy, the United States also strengthened its interoperability with its allies in Indo-Pacific. With this, the United States keeps mid-range missile systems strategically stationed in the Philippines as tensions with China rises. The U.S. has no immediate plans to withdraw a mid-range missile system deployed in the Philippines, despite Chinese demands, and is testing the feasibility of its use in a regional conflict. The Typhoon system, which can be equipped with cruise missiles capable of striking Chinese targets, was brought in for joint exercises earlier this year, stationed strategically in northern Luzon, near Taiwan, and adjacent in hotly contested waters of South China Sea. The Southeast Asian archipelago, Taiwan's neighbor to the south, is an important part of U.S. strategy in Asia, and would be an indispensable staging point for the military to aid Taipei in the event of a Chinese attack, and a strategic location to deter China in its hegemonic ambition in the West Philippine Sea. China and Russia have condemned the first deployment of the mid-range missile system to the Indo-Pacific, accusing Washington of fueling an arms race.